Hello, this is Voyager time. We are demons and we eat children, and you're under arrest for stealing my dollar. I'm Andrew, and with me today is...
Sarah.
I'm Ben.
Nathan.
Today we're talking about Voyager Episode 4, Time and Again. Investigating a planet just devastated by Polaric explosion, Janeway and Paris are engulfed by a subspace fracture and transported in time to before the accident. We're also talking about Adventure Time Episode 5, The Enchiridion. Finn and Jake go on a quest for the titular magical book that would prove them worthy of being righteous heroes. And Episode 6, The Jiggler. A strange creature attracted by Finn's auto-tuned singing voice follows the duo to their home, and they keep him as a pet. Soon, however, the creature begins to show signs of sickness, and Finn and Jake realize the creature needs the love and attention of its mother. They then return it to its nest. This is a wild set of episodes, everyone. This is...
Mm-hmm.
These were some good episodes. Specifically about Voyager, though, can we just talk for a second about the fact that the premise of this episode started off the same as kind of the last episode?
Yes. Thank you.
I partway through, I was just once they realized that they caused the explosion, I was like, this is the same episode. It was a really good version of that same basic start, but yeah,
Was it?
Yeah, I couldn't disagree with you
it.
more there, Ben. I thought this was a real bad episode.
I liked it.
I did not like it at all.
Sarah, could you tell, what was going on with the people back on Voyager?
They were just saying a bunch of technobabble all the time.
The whole time, yeah.
Yeah.
It just was
No,
it was nothing, honestly. And then it just all of the drama seemed so manufactured and just kind of boring to me.
Yes.
I thought it was just overall kind of a boring episode.
Yeah. It wasn't bad.
With bad fashion.
It just didn't... Oh, my God.
God, the
fashion
fashion was
choices.
wild.
One of the things I don't understand, and I mean, okay, I do understand it from a production standpoint. They don't have time to make these alien worlds that they visit fully fleshed out with all this cultural I just find it extremely hard to believe that any society anywhere would all just wear the exact same clothes as each other all the time with slight color variations.
Mm-hmm.
They ran out of money making this episode, so they didn't have enough money for costumes. They didn't have enough money to build two sets, so the post-apocalyptic one is the same one as before. They just spray painted it all black after the fact. It totally shows in this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did really
will
appreciate the
admit to that,
ear warmers, the police ear warmers that they all wore.
Honestly, after their costume change, the thing that was putting me off most was the fact that Janeway had her hair down.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But only half of it.
Yeah.
I don't know why that. Yeah, why did she need to do that? How does that? They're not in disguise.
It's her incognito hair.
Right.
Her
This is my
sneaking
stealth
around the alien planet trying to not look like a civilized warp civilization member.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the hallmarks of being a warp society, a warp level society, is that you keep your hair up in a tight bun all the time.
Right.
Otherwise, it
for
might
sure.
fall in one of the nacelles. Sarah, I noticed that too about the fashion, especially since they dedicated several minutes to talking about fashion and clothing and stuff like that. And then they just
Yeah.
all wear the same thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, for Voyager and for Adventure Time, I thought all of these episodes were just filler.
Yeah, I'm with
Which
you.
isn't bad, because shows need that, especially when they have, 30 episodes a season or whatever it is. But they don't really do that anymore, so they can't. It feels like shows now have a more tight story than shows from the 90s where they had 25 episodes a season and they had to get through it,
They just had to put something on the TV.
Right.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because Adventure Time, I think, shows that sort of change as time goes on, because it starts in 2010 and it ends in 2018, and you can really see how prestige TV and just how the changes in the show reflect what was going on at TV at the time, because it's so much looser and lighter at the beginning, and then it's sort of they cram more and more into it as time goes on.
So I didn't necessarily dislike it quite as much as you guys. I thought it was kind of an interesting I guess it was a smaller part of the episode, but the interesting conflict that they had, Tom and Janeway had to kind of discuss about, do we violate the Prime Directive to prevent a mass extinction of this planet?
Mm-hmm.
And their, kind of differing opinions on that.
Yeah.
Did it? Yeah. Sarah, do you have a soapbox you want to stand out about the Prime Directive? Because if you don't, I will.
I'd go ahead and say what you need to say.
I found those stakes so nothing because every single time they talk about not violating the Prime Directive, they go on to violate the Prime Directive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not always true. It depends on the show and the captain.
I'm not as well versed in it as you are, but the ones that I've seen, it's always like, we can't do it, just to introduce some stakes that they will inevitably then do.
It's
I mean, a lot of times it does happen. I'm not going to say, but not every time.
It's a lot like don't cross the streams in Ghostbusters, only to inevitably cross the streams.
Right. It's if that was the case, that like we only ever do explicitly follow the Prime Directive, it would be a lot of like, oh well, we came across this planet and we heard this explosion. That's weird. Let's keep going.
It would be a way less interesting show. Like,
right.
But that did kind of seem like a needless detour. Like if you're trying to get back home and it's like,
oh yeah,
oh there's this explosion off in the distance. Let's go look.
Right.
Well, it did damage their ship a little bit.
Fair.
But shouldn't they just be like, let's just fix that and keep going?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It did also make that
75 years to go here. Let's keep moving.
Right.
It did make that ending part though, where they're like, "Oh, this is a non-warp planet that's not doing anything. They don't know we're here. That nothing's happening.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just keep going. Let's not violate the Prime Directive now."
Mm-hmm.
And it did make it a little bit more interesting at that point.
That's true. It did come back around there.
But okay, the thing though is they like reset it, right? Like that whole reset it, so like nothing in this episode actually happened.
Mm-hmm. As far as they're concerned, yeah.
So it was nothing. Like all the character development they allegedly had during that.
Oh my god, you're right. It just got erased.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing happened.
God. One of the producers even explicitly called out how important it was to them that they have Janeway and Paris be together in an episode early on to develop their bond. But you're right; they throw it all out the window immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot more show to go for that, but like the fact that in the second episode they're like already erasing stuff, it's just like they should have had at least one person remember something in like a dream or something.
Maybe Kes could have remembered something for them.
They kind of implied that a little bit with Kes, but
yeah,
they did kind of brush it over like, oh, okay, well, I guess that must have been nothing.
Yeah. Speaking of Kes, though, there was that one scene where she's like weeping about the horrible thing that happened that she could see in her mind. First of all, I wrote down that she was acting with a capital A, which But then the part that I thought was the dumbest was that she's like, I think it's real and I saw it in my mind or whatever. And Neelix is like, wow, it's almost like you're saying, referencing powers that like this one tribe on this other planet has. And she's like, well, my people have like historically been telepathic. And he's like, but nobody believes that.
Like Neelix, for that other people.
Yeah, I was like, why would that be how it is? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you believe those other like forest people have it, but not hers?
Why is it impossible for her species?
Have you seen the things they can do when they walk into an empty room?
Who?
The forest people, because he starts that sentence and never finishes it.
I didn't hear that part.
Oh my god, yeah.
Okay. Speaking of Kes, my one note on her was that her hair does not move. It is
it's
like a solid piece of plastic.
Yeah, it is.
Like I'm agreeing more and more with you that this is kind of a mediocre episode. It was not great, but
it was fine, right? It just was like, it just wasn't exceptional.
The rebels were so weird too. Like,
yes,
they were so ready to immediately murder a kid.
I know.
Yeah,
and then when he had the moment to do it, he's just like, actually, you know what? I'm gonna look over here. Oh god, he got away. Hated that kid. He sucked.
It was such a dumb thing to have him in there.
Yeah. Well, and then it was just all of it. Everything that happened just went nowhere and led to nothing because they put them right back where they started at the beginning of the episode at the end. But the fact that Tom had this, like, he was all annoyed by the kid, and then by the end he liked the kid and felt bad for him because he knew he was going to die or whatever. Like, that's all great, but like now that got erased. So what was the point of any of it? And what was, I just, for me, like, it's for the show, like, whatever, like, their character development, there's hardly any of it even in this episode. But, like, you know, you're watching it, you see these things happen, and then the fact that they got erased, it's like, well, now you can't factor that into what your understanding of their character is because it didn't happen.
Yeah.
It just annoys me.
It's definitely the key difference between the last episode and this one is, like, everything that happened in the last episode did actually happen. But this one...
Right.
This one, even though they go through the same thing, it just, you know, this paradox, it all gets erased this time.
Right. I think it just kind of, I don't know, like you said earlier, it was more of a filler, but also in the sense of, like, ooh, this is our big reveal at the end, is like, oh, you know, their little time travel magic, they, you know, don't even know what they, you know, prevented, but I don't know, I think it's for to be able to, I don't know, use that gimmick, I guess.
I guess the good news is there was no actual character development, so we didn't lose anything.
Well, right, that's what I'm saying, even though there was hardly anything. That's why I'm like, this episode was about nothing and was for nothing. It was just to fill a week of time.
Yeah.
The shining gem in the episode was, again, like all other episodes, was the Doctor.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, the captain's gone.
Yeah, he's like, no one has told me any of this.
The quote I pulled was, "It seems I found myself on a voyage of the damned."
He's so dramatic.
Don't leave without turning me off.
Yeah, he's like, please just
stop.
Put me out of my misery.
Also, like, the fact that the Doctor is like, I've never seen a brain like yours before. And they're like, yeah, because we're not from Starfleet.
Yeah, she's an
We've
alien.
never been, we're aliens. And he's like, oh, why did your doctors not send us the medical
Right.
records?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, because we didn't have them.
Because we are in a completely different part of the galaxy and we don't have that kind of stuff.
And then,
Yeah,
like,
that whole exchange was great.
how many other new arrivals are there? Oh, just us. And another crew of a
the
ship.
entire other crew.
Also, they acknowledge that living in space is different on your body from just living on Earth, which was interesting because I don't know if I've seen that. I've definitely not seen that in any Star Trek I've watched. I don't know if that's in the other shows ever.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting
Not
little
really.
detail.
At least they're not in 90s era Star Trek, at least.
The thing that bothered me most about the aliens, not the fact that they were just humans from the 60s, or any, like, the kid, anything about it, their clothes, it was how weirdly formal all their language was. Have a confection bar and calm down.
I know. I grabbed that.
Nobody uses the
too.
word watch or clock. They keep calling them timepieces.
Well, that's how you know they're aliens.
Right.
Because even though they're speaking English, they're saying like different words.
It was so weird.
Because they're weird and
We're
alien.
aliens.
Get
Look at
it?
our weird clocks.
Timepiece.
Yeah.
I did appreciate him explaining how to read the time, and then it never mattering again because Tom just explains how long is left afterwards. I have an interesting fact about this episode.
Okay.
The guy who played Nye Turla, the super crabby protester who wanted to shoot the kid.
Yeah.
He played Fuchs in the movie The Thing. That was one of his first roles. The head scientist who commits suicide by setting himself on fire rather than getting murdered by the Thing.
Okay.
I've never seen the
There's
thing,
no
so-
interesting facts about these episodes.
Yeah.
Andrew's take, there's nothing interesting about this episode.
I just thought it was
Yeah.
cool that a guy from my favorite movie was also in this episode as someone who wants to murder a child.
I just think they're neat.
I just think they're neat.
Well, can we talk? Let's take a visit to the shipping corner because I want to talk about the fact in the beginning, well, I guess, and the end, Tom is like, hey, Harry.
Oh my God.
Let's go hit on the Delaney sisters. And Harry's like, no, I have a girl at home. sounds fake.
Yes,
And then
yeah,
he's
She's
like,
in Canada.
yeah,
totally
wants
real.
to wait,
We-
who he wants to wait for him for 75 years.
yeah, like
She'll wait for me for
Yeah.
7 decades.
She's gonna think you're
Yeah.
dead in 2 days. Like,
Yeah.
like she probably has already been told that your ship has been lost and is in the grieving process.
Yeah.
If she cared, if she's even real, which I think that we can all
she's
agree
totally
probably
real,
isn't.
because I instant message her every night, and it's totally legit.
Even if she's real, we don't know how long they've been dating. It could have been like 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's or he has a girl at home, but he doesn't call her his girlfriend or say that they're like a serious relationship or anything.
Nope.
Yeah,
He's
they
just
might not
talking
even
about his
be
mom.
dating. Period.
He might have just been wanting to ask her out.
Yeah. Anyway, if she's real, she's not gonna fucking wait for him. Let's just say that for sure. But then, on the other hand, Tom is using his like hyper bravado sexuality to like hide his feelings for Harry, right? Like we can all
Whoa.
agree.
Oh yeah, no, he's trying
using
to,
that. Because he's trying to find out about Harry's like whole
Deal.
deal, and he's like, "Oh, you've got a girl at home? Yeah, okay, sure." And he's like, She's not gonna
She's not gonna wait for
What I
you.
wrote down was, it's such a stereotype. Tom using his hypersexuality to cover up his feelings for Harry, and Harry saying he has a girl back home to avoid flirting with other girls. I'm just saying, if they had wanted to do this in this show, it was laid out like red carpet from the beginning. I'm just saying.
So easy.
I love this so much.
If the people who were making Discovery were making this show, they would have probably started out completely different.
This episode would have started with the two of them in their bunks. In Tom's bunk.
Together. Yeah. Yeah. They would have been hooking up. They could have even been having the same exact conversation that they had, and then Harry feels all guilty. And I mean, I'm just saying they could have done a lot that we missed out on, but it was all there.
I'm here for this. I think the fanfic that is clear to me is the one where Harry is naive and young and doesn't really know what he wants, and Tom like guides him. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Sort of more knowledgeable, yes.
Right, and they discover each other and about themselves during the
Yes,
voyage
exactly.
home.
Mm-hmm.
That was the real voyage all along.
Yes. Well, and Tom has that stupid line where he's like, people are going to start pairing off, like, you got to get in there. And yeah.
And Harry's like, I know.
Yeah. Harry's like, but I've got a girl at home. Okay.
I did think that bit was interesting. Sorry, are we out of the shipping corner?
Yeah, we can be done with
Has
that.
the paperwork been signed and stamped?
Yes.
It's been approved.
Okay, we'll send it to customs.
Harry.
I did think it was interesting that they brought this up, even if it was in kind of a strange context. Like the thought that nobody knows what happened to Voyager, and they're just gonna like show up one day out of nowhere, and people are like, "Oh, we thought you died like 1,000 years ago." Because also, is relativity discussed in the show at all? Like,
Oh, no, of course not.
that's not
They don't bring that up.
okay.
Are you,
Because like,
come on. It's the future. They have warp speed. They don't have to worry about relativity and
and timepieces.
magic things that like that.
Did we have anything else to say about this episode?
No.
Not really. Like,
It's just kind of a boring one.
yeah, a little bit of a miss.
All right, so how about Adventure Time, the Enchiridion?
It definitely, again, like we talked about before, I felt like filler, but I feel like there were some very good characters in there. And the one that sticks out to me was the Gatekeeper.
Oh, of
The riddle
course.
Yeah.
guy.
The Whittle Master.
I could watch that repeatedly.
There are lots
Yeah.
of good little jokes in here, like PB in the tower just making mouth sounds at the top for no reason.
Fair. Oh, wait, and then climbing back up the tower. Farewell, Finn the human boy.
She had to get her handkerchief.
Okay, so is she not human?
No, she's a
She's
candy
made up
person.
She's made out of bubblegum.
But she looks like a human.
It's
Yes.
Don't worry, it's all explained later. The deep Adventure Time lore, and that's not a joke. It is quite deep.
So that's, I guess, my like thing that I kind of get annoyed by when I'm watching this, because like it's fun to watch. I like watching these episodes, but then I'm always like, which thing is going to become important, and that people are going to be like, oh, don't worry, you'll get it later when we talk about it. Because like I just don't, because now I wrote down Enchiridion, important thing or throwaway thing, who can say? Because like
no, I haven't watched nearly as much. I watched more of the early episodes, so I'm kind of in the same boat. But I wouldn't worry about it too much, because at this point the episodes are light, and I don't think at that point when they were making the show that they were intending to get as deep as it did. So
yeah, they just would make stuff up. And I think part of the joke early on was you'd make things up that seemed like it was going to be important and then never was. And then they went back and they mined everything later.
right.
Yeah, really just kind of reverse engineered their lore out of what they did in the beginning.
Right.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think just like kind of enjoying it as it comes, and then like not worrying about it just kind of seems the way to go. This episode had a lot of like really intense D&D things in it. That was like, this would make a lot of fun stuff for a D&D game. Like the silly little gatekeeper and the
You've unlocked the riddle and the door.
Brilliantly done, child.
I just thought you looked cute in that lock.
that's how most people get in.
Solve it.
But yeah, that does feel very D&D, where it's like this big setup to be like a big,
Oh my god.
a big riddle or puzzle or big, side quest, and then it just is
The
like
answer is shove the guy
like
into
nothing.
the lock.
There was one time I played part like a little bit of D&D with a guy I used to work with and some people that he works with now, and he was DMing it, and literally the first thing that we got to, there's this door we had to figure out how to open, and someone's like, ha ha ha, what if it's the thing from Lord of the Rings? They're like, speak friend and enter, and then he's like says melon or whatever it is from the movie, and my friend Rick was like, the door opens. Like, and then he's like, do you want to look around or anything? And like we found something on the ground that was like the clue for answering the riddle that we accidentally solved just by walking up to the door. He was like, this looks like it might be something that for a riddle that you've already solved.
These two episodes were weird for me because I just like I don't have a lot to comment on plot. I just have like a bunch of things I picked out that I thought was funny. Like
Yeah, the plots were fairly forgettable.
I agree.
Yeah, there wasn't much meat to the plot, but I think they made up for it in some of the characters.
Of course, like
so, like those,
or the Minotaur.
Yeah, the Minotaur,
Manish man
with the muscles on his muscles when he was floating.
That guy reminded me of a character from a Taz thing, like an Adventure Zone NPC. That's who that reminded me of.
Absolutely.
Like if you had taken Clark and made him into a Minotaur instead of a bugbear.
Yeah. I thought the giant that they found was gross.
Yep.
And
you're under arrest for stealing my dollar.
Yeah, well, and then I wrote down, in my opinion, if a guy eats you, you don't have to give him his dollar back.
I want to know, where did giants spend their big money?
At the giant convenience store?
Big convenience stores?
I mean, he must have a place where there's people his size, right?
Yes.
Like
he had to come from
his
somewhere.
homeland.
Yeah, it's at the big and tall stores, right?
Yes.
I really appreciated at the end of the whole gnome scene, Jake just putting the gnomes back into the fire.
Yeah, get back in there.
How are there so many old ladies in this forest that supposedly you need to be a hero to get into?
It was just a land riddled with grannies.
Well, were they real? Because at the end, it looked like two of them were there.
Yeah, just hanging out at the picnic.
Just chilling.
Yeah. It was all part of the trial.
Yeah.
The Dark Wizard this episode was voiced by Mark Hamill.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
That's the guy who tells him to slay the unaligned hand.
Yes.
Slay this unaligned hand.
I loved that was my favorite part of that episode was when he's like, slay this ant, and he's like, is it evil? And he's like, what? No, but it's not good either. It's unaligned.
That's the moment when I realized that it was a D&D episode, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never picked up on that, but yeah, it's absolutely. My last note is that I love that Finn has like 1 million missing teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even notice that.
There's like a really brief close-up where he's got like this strange smile on his face, and you can see he's got like 4 that are just not there.
I mean, he's a kid in an area with no dentists. What do you expect?
I know.
He lives in that candy kingdom. That shit's gonna rot his teeth immediately.
That's true.
Do the candy or the people?
Yeah?
So are you saying he's eating them?
Yeah, wow.
Ooh. Mm.
What do they
That is a
eat
good
in
point.
Candy Kingdom?
I would assume candy, but also, that's people.
If the
I mean, we did have the
Kind of a
guy who was
Soylent
eating
Green
himself, though.
But we do know that Finn owns a toothbrush because he uses it in the next episode.
Yeah, he splits it
True.
in half.
Yeah. That's
Tore it in half like chopsticks.
split
well,
it
now
down
he
the middle.
doesn't have a toothbrush, so I
He has
guess
half a toothbrush.
yeah.
It was crazy to me that we are on episode 6, and this is the first time we see the treehouse.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah,
That's
right.
where they live.
That's where
Yeah.
they live. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I wrote down for this second episode we watched was Finn and Jake are not ready to be parents.
No.
Because I thought it was even more forgettable than the first one.
Yeah.
Because it's just like the funniest part to me was the auto-tune singing
Yeah.
in the beginning.
I swallowed a little computer.
Yeah.
It
And
was
then the rest with the little.
with the jiggler.
The Jiggler.
Yeah, but like, what is that actually?
I don't know. It's like, it reminded me of those things that you, like, I saw them all the time as a kid. It's like that rubber thing and you squeeze it and the eyes. And
Oh,
ears
yeah,
pop
a
out.
little stress squeezer.
Yeah.
thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, so that thing follows them, and then I don't know. I just thought it was kind of depressing after that. I was
It
just
is
like,
super
this is
depressing.
gonna go bad, and then it's like a sad little baby, and then the mom is like rejecting it. I was like, this is a little bit too real to what could happen with real animals.
I know.
Yeah, I was just like, hey, don't take animals from their homes, maybe.
Yeah.
The Jiggler goes through some pretty moderate body horror too. It, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
that bit where it's like all wrapped up and stuff and oozing fluid and like clearly in pain was really something for kids to program.
It was a really strange one with a lot of like fun little funny sound bites,
Yeah.
and then a lot of weird explosions and liquids coming from places they shouldn't be.
Yeah. Yeah.
My first note was, oops, doesn't like grapes.
Purple whatever.
No, it's a dog.
Yeah, purple whatever.
Yeah.
This episode was censored in England. Would you guys like to take a guess as to what was censored?
The Jiggler as a whole.
Just cut out of the episode.
It's just the butt part.
I thought the butt part too.
The gooshing of the pink fluid.
No, believe it or not, it was the phrase "I gotta tuck you in, girl" that Finn sings in the song at the beginning.
Oh.
Why?
I don't know. Of all the things in this episode to censor, why that?
That's weird.
I gotta
That's
tuck
real
you
weird.
in, girl.
Huh.
Best joke of the episode was definitely when they're trying to plug all the holes so the goop stops coming out, and Finn goes, "What about your glass eye collection?" And Jake responds, "Oh, they're in mint condition."
I really also appreciated where it's getting at everything. It's like, oh, and the galoshes. I gotta go. But yes, to be fair, minus all the body horror, that is a lot like Parenthood, where it's like, oh, nope, they're not eating this. Oh, they ate this, but then they threw it up. Oh, there's all this, stuff leaking out. It's everywhere. Yeah,
Except
it's all too real.
When my daughter is upset, I can't like throw her 100 yards into a pool surrounding my wife and solve all my problems.
No? That's not how it works?
Well, have you tried?
I don't have the arm to lob 30 pounds that far, unfortunately. But if I did, I'd give it a shot.
Sounds like you need to hit the gym some more.
Yeah, clearly. Do we have much more to say about this one? There's just not a whole lot here.
This is a light
Not a
few
whole lot.
episodes.
How's your guys' weeks been?
Neat.
They've been busy, but thank you for asking.
Well, we have like 10 more minutes we could theoretically talk, and we don't have anything to say about the episode, so...
The Jiggler has cute
Yeah, we
little
do-
butt cheeks.
That is accurate. And his teeth are brushed.
His teeth are brushed. Does he have teeth?
Well, his
It has
mouth
something.
is brushed.
I liked when he drew a specific picture by kissing the ground, and then they were like, I think he's trying to tell us something.
Yeah.
The kissing picture is very good.
Yeah.
And when they're drawing food pictures, and I didn't like it when Finn drew a picture of meat and then put a face on it. I didn't like that.
No? You don't
I
like
like
to
how-
have face on your meat?
I don't like to be reminded of that in my children's cartoon watching.
I did really enjoy how much Jake was upset by the thought of someone eating a picture of him. And he had to opt
Wouldn't
to
you
eat the
be?
picture himself.
Yeah.
Someone drew a picture of me and it came alive. I think I'd want that in my own body. It feels like an ownership thing.
That makes me think of that SpongeBob episode where SpongeBob found a like magic pencil
Yeah.
and drew a picture of himself that then went
Yes.
wild. Doodle Bob.
Doodle Bob. So what are your connections to these
I have
episodes?
one this time.
Which is insane. I don't know what
Excellent.
you connected.
Getting involved can sometimes cause more harm than good.
Really good. Really good.
Very good.
Yeah.
I'm also
I would
amazed that
say-
that connects all 3 episodes, to be honest.
Yeah.
Along similar lines, by injecting themselves in that situation, causing the planet to annihilate themselves, I would say that was a decision that was not righteous. It was wrongchous.
It was...
Made them
yeah.
stupidchous. Do you think if you go to the replicator and you ask for purple whatevers, it gives you grapes?
I hope so.
I think
I
you
heard
have
they
to
only-
program it.
I heard they only
do
have
that.
plain tomato soup, though.
Like, they don't have hot, plain tomato soup. That's an issue.
Is that just like a can of pureed tomatoes that got hot? Like, what does Tom Paris want?
Hot tomato
just wants
soup.
hot
I don't.
tomatoes.
He just wants plain hot tomato soup.
Come on.
He yelled it. How do you
He's
not
very
remember?
clear.
No, I remember. I'm starting to empathize with the replicator a little bit here. Like, how do you prepare that? Do you put onions in it? Is there garlic? Or is it just hot tomatoes? What?
Well, that's the thing is, which in other Star Treks, they explain that you need to program it, otherwise it won't know the recipe. So really it's Tom's fault for not telling the computer how to do what he wanted. Because it's just a computer.
Most computer issues come back to the user. It's user
Yes,
error.
it was an operator error.
We call those pepcaks. Problem
And
between
that-
computer and chair.
Yes.
Oh boy. Well, I hope the next episodes are a little bit more interesting.
Just have anything in them.
Yeah. Next time we'll be watching the Voyager episode Phage and the Adventure Time episodes Ricardio the Heart Guy and Business Time.
Okay, well, we already know from the Adventure Time episodes there's going to be more to them.
Yeah, the
You guys do.
Ricardio the Heart Guy is a wild episode followed by, I think, an episode that is even lighter than the ones we watched today.
Yeah. Ricardio is going to give us a good bit to talk about, though.
Is that it? Well, until next time, I have to do my line.
Okay, go.
I'm working on it. Hold on. Until next time, we'll just wait for you here.
Hold on. Is it behind or in front of?
By
what is it?
the
It's
mausoleum.
bye.
By the mausoleum.
With our backs turned.
And our defenses lowered.
doctor, not
Well-dressed pickles.
Professionals regularly record many podcast episodes they never release.
Oh, no, I was just talking about professional clappers.
Oh, okay.
You don't get paid to clap?
You guys are getting paid.